Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca, and this is the CCM FT4 Pro. There it is, elbow pad snapshot review. So as you can see here is a bunch of FT4 Pro stuff, including these gloves and the shoulder pads. So there's going to be videos on those pieces as well, which you can find at the end of this video and just on my channel coming in the future. I thought CCM was doing some interesting things with the FT4 gear, so I wanted to grab a bunch of it to make some content and to talk about it. So that is why we're looking at the FT4 Pro. Full disclosure, I bought these from a store. I plan on returning them, so I'm not going to be able to do any protection tests or any actual usage stuff like that. So it'll just be a snapshot review. Before we begin that, if you want to see me do more actual reviews, and if my content helps you out, please reach out to the manufacturers on social media and let them know you want to see Hockey Reviews review their stuff. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel so I can buy stuff and actually do real reviews on it, not just these snapshot reviews. And if you live in the United States, check out the link in the description to Pure Hockey, Pure Goalie. Clicking that link, making a purchase gives me a kickback, so I keep making more content and doing real reviews. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel, check out Patreon and buy me a coffee. Links in the description. Everything that goes through there comes right back into the channel, so I can keep doing this and making more content. Now, for the elbow pads themselves, we have a ton of gloves here because we're going to show the coverage and stuff like that. So unfortunately, I don't have the FT1 elbow pads that I had in the past and did a review on to kind of compare to this. A lot of similar concepts here, but they kind of moved away from a lot of things here. As you can see, there's no more composite material over here. It's just this exposed foam. CCM has kind of gone back to what made their stuff really popular in the past, specifically like for this protective line. For the chest, they're using U foam everywhere, and it's kind of back to what made the CCM U Plus Crazy Light and the RBZ line really popular. So this is kind of along that lines as well. Unfortunately, I don't have either of those really popular elbow pads to do a comparison on this, which is a bit disappointing, but we'll kind of do what I can do here. Like I mentioned, the composite piece is gone right here, and it is just this exposed foam. It's fine. It feels like the same as honestly most other elbow pads. It's something special. It's just does its job well. Have your exposed cap right here, and this is they always talk about this JDP cap. I'm not going to talk about the marketing behind it. You can see it has the exposed foam. Then this piece is a plastic piece, and you can see the plastic right in there. So it has that foam, plastic, and then kind of your donut on the inside like this right here. And you can see just the strapping and the materials all used there. Very similar strapping to what the FT1 was. I had issues with the FT1 where I couldn't keep it locked in place basically at all. It would always move. I had to put something underneath it to basically hold it there. This one so far, when I put it on my arm, felt better than the FT1 did in that sense. So I guess that's an improvement. The one thing that they did do well is they extended basically the Velcro attachment. So you can see how this piece goes all the way around. And then this piece as well is basically all the way around. So you can really crank that tight to make sure it is tight on your forearm and doesn't move. So got to give them huge credit for that. Aesthetics wise, I think this entire line looks really good. People always say white's going to get dirty, and it is going to get dirty, but for the time being, it looks really good now. I love like the brushed red aluminum look right here and as well as right here. Just a nice look, and the white does give it nice little details. The marketing stuff on this is brilliant, not because it does tell you all the marketing stuff that I don't really care about, but because it tells you what arm it is and what size it is. The reason I think this is huge, well, it does tell you on the inside. I have found some of these stuff to kind of wear out. That's going to wear out too, let's be real. When this is wrapped up at a store, and basically usually these come in each other at a store, it's really easy to look at the side and say, oh, there's size large. There we go. And grab it rather than having to look on the inside tag and stuff like that. So props to CCM for that. I think that's a good idea, especially from a retail standpoint. So because this is a snapshot review, I can't do a bunch of protection tests on it like I would have preferred, but I did do a few little checks on stuff specifically right here. So this is like an exposed foam, as you can see through it right there, and it's not really connected to anything but the sides, so you can kind of go under it, and even then when you go under it, you can actually go under it even more, like all the way through. So basically how this works, there's this exposed foam here, you have this kind of foam liner which isn't super thick and not super protective, but then there's a piece of plastic in here, so you can see hopefully you can see right there. And that is extra plastic for protection, and that kind of goes in there and gives you kind of 3 layers of protection. It is definitely much more protective deep in here than it is, for example, right here. And it does a pretty good job from my tests that I did so far. The other thing about this is that because of how it's pretty flexible, the foam in the plastic, so it flattens out pretty good, as you can see, and it does round out pretty good as well. So that's a nice design, how that is flexible. I've seen some composite ones, like I mentioned on the 2S Pros, where you basically have to heat it up and flatten it to actually make it wrap right. This one does a decent job for that, but we'll show how much coverage it gives later on. Nothing crazy special up here. Like I mentioned, no more composite, but honestly, you don't totally need it up there anyways. So looking in at the inside, I'm a bit disappointed in here. I like this red material. It's really comfortable. It's also on the gloves in just a different color, but I do like that material. It feels nice to touch. It is on the elbow piece as well. The parts I don't like under here is not very comfortable, and this edge gets bunched up and is annoying and pinches basically when you close your arm when this is tight. Everything down here is also not very comfortable. You can just see it's kind of a mesh liner, and it's not super soft to the touch or anything, and it honestly just doesn't feel that great on you. So it's pretty disappointing in that sense. It would have been a lot nicer if they used a lot more of this red material, but this red material is much more slippery than what this is, so I kind of get it, but it's still not, this isn't really nice to the touch. This is a 3-piece design. You can kind of see here, you got 1, 2, and you got 3. So you can see how 3 kind of connects this way. There's a little piece right here, and then it's connected on the side. But my problem with this is it doesn't really act like a 3-piece because this is sewn in right here, connected right here, and then also sewn in right here. So the problem with that is that you can see this part doesn't really move that much. And when you do it all up, it's not like really moving independently. Yes, this piece can fold in because it's basically just a softer piece, but you can see because it's all kind of sewn in right here, this doesn't really move that well with it. It's a little bit in this way, but you can't really feel that when you're actually wearing it. And it's just kind of disappointing. This part doesn't move nearly as much as I would have preferred. For example, here is a Sherwood 3-piece design, and while I think this elbow pad is honestly terrible, look how much more movement you get on this, and it's just attached right here. And I think CCM could have done something a little bit better on this to make this a little bit more mobile. And maybe I'm just wrong here, and I'll totally allow people to correct me if they use the previous designs and these were perfect, but I didn't find the FT1 super amazing overall in terms of like mobility and everything, and these on me don't feel super amazing either, so I'm pretty disappointed with that. When wearing it, I don't think this is really going to show off much, but there really, like I mentioned, isn't any movement there. So you can see how this part isn't really squishing back or anything. It's just acting almost like a 1-piece. The only way that this feels more mobile than this 2-piece design is when it's straight out. It doesn't feel as restricting, but you never really are ever straight out like this, right? You're always elbow bent, so it's not really a thing that ever happens in a game. But if you go straight out, this one is better than what the Tacks is, but it doesn't really do a ton here. It doesn't really feel super mobile or anything like that. It's fine, it's just not great. Part I wanted to really show is basically this spot right here is just not comfortable when you go like this. So I can feel that all bunching up. I can feel the seams all right here as well as right here. Like this isn't a super soft piece of elastic, or elastic nylon I should say, and that just does not feel nice bunching up. So if you're someone who does wear, you can kind of see all the marks right here just from me doing this today, and that's not like a super nice feeling and a nice thing. This is pretty disappointing to me, and I'm kind of surprised at it. For example, on my UltraTacks, like there's less bunching up and everything going on here, and you can see how much more open that is and how it just kind of cuts across at a slightly different angle. That doesn't make it nearly as bad. Now, if I loosen this to make this like more comfortable, it does just slide straight off. So this spot basically does have to be tightened to what I did it to make it really snug and feel like it's not going anywhere, because that's not going anywhere. But then you can see just like how much that was doing to my skin already, where this one, nice and snug, and it's not really causing any issues anywhere. So it's kind of amazing to me that that's like the materials they're going with, especially when I looked at the 2X Pro, and the 2X Pro was significantly more comfortable than this. It was a 2-piece design, but it just felt so much more comfortable wearing it than what this did. Pretty disappointing. There's no D3O or anything in these. CCM's whole point of the FT4 Pro line is lightweight, so that's kind of what they're going for here. Coverage is okay, so you can see it right there. The part that I'm disappointed with is how open this is. So these are a size large, and it doesn't wrap all the way. This might not be a huge thing for people, but I'm someone who's like 6'3", and I'm kind of chunky, right? So I have decently sized arms. So maybe if you're super skinny, this will be better, but there's no way that's wrapping all the way for me at all. And you can see the kind of guide spots there, where this one wraps so much better, and it just feels like it fits your arm better. Like I said, maybe this is okay, but this would be an easy thing to wrap, and I'm kind of disappointed that doesn't go all the way. For length coverage, it does seem pretty close to what the large tacks are. So you can see it's not a huge difference. You do lose a little bit of length there, but not a ton, and it's acceptable in my eyes. These are 14-inch gloves, so you can kind of see how much cuff you'll have there. And then if we move into 15-inch gloves, you can see you got pretty decent coverage overall. This is still less than what the 2X Pro was. And again, the 2X Pro isn't a 3-piece design, so that's a bit like of a different comparison, but I have a hard time, I have a hard time recommending these at this moment compared to them overall. But you can see the coverage right there. So the shoulder pads are basically adjusted all the way down as they can, and you can see where the coverage is on the elbow pad. It's not a super tall elbow pad, and I can't really get that to go any lower. So that is just how the elbow coverage would be on there. I did mention how this Velcro wrapped around so you can make it much more snug, and you can see it doesn't really come off unless you really try. It's a lot better than what the FT1 was. I had a lot of problems with that. There's not a whole lot I think I can really talk about with these in terms of anything else without really using them or diving into them. They're not really anything special from what I can see. I really was hoping that when I put these on, I basically knew CCM hit a home run on them, because a lot of the FT4 line, it seems like that's the case. Obviously try them on, see how you like them and everything, but there's just not enough here that makes me happy about this, that would make me want to go out and buy it. Like, I keep bringing up the 2X Pro, and I haven't seen the Ultrasonics yet, which might be a little bit better comparison because it should be that 3-piece design. But for like compactness and lightweight, I think the 2X Pro was better than basically this all around. So that's disappointing to begin with. And then there's just not a lot of greatness here, like how this is pinching already, and that's just from me wearing them for this video. There's a lot of things I feel like CCM could have done a lot nicer on here. Like, this material feels terrible, to be honest, and reminds me of the awful material on the Sherwoods. And that shouldn't happen on like a $169 elbow pad. It should feel like amazing all the way out, and it doesn't at all. It feels pretty disappointing, to be honest. I'm glad CCM's going back to what, I'll talk about this a lot in the shoulder pads, about like what worked for them in the past and what made their gear really popular with pros. I can't see this being it. Now, watch every single pro in the NHL turn to use these elbow pads in like a year. Well, these and basically the tacks, because the tacks are used by like everybody. Watch that be a thing, and watch this become like the next really good elbow pad. But for me, I think there's a lot lacking here in terms of like nice materials and actually doing something nice. And this, like I mentioned, this 3-piece design that never actually bends like that when it's on your elbow. So it doesn't really act like a 3-piece design because it's just stitched here, and it doesn't really rotate or move. So pretty disappointing in my eyes. That's about it for the FT4 Pro elbow pad snapshot review. Hopefully it was helpful. Like, try it on, see how you like it. Let me know if you like it a lot better than something else you tried on, and give me feedback like that. I'd greatly appreciated. Obviously I can't use this on ice, so that would be a really nice thing if I could grab it on ice and see how it is, but I can't. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully it was helpful. If you remember to like this video, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, links in the description. If you want to support the channel so I keep making more content and doing reviews. Otherwise, if you're in the United States and want to support the channel and you're buying hockey equipment, check out the links to Pure Hockey. Everything that goes through that link comes right back into the channel, and I get a kickback for every sale, so it'd be greatly appreciated. Check out the links in the description too. Patreon, buy me a coffee, everything there will come right back into the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.